War. War never changes.
An iconic line first said in a 1997 game, Fallout, a post-nuclear role-playing game. A franchise now spanning 11 games, and now a TV show currently spanning 2 seasons. We're here to experience how this 28-year-long franchise started, and see how it got to where it is today. This is Fallout, a game created by Tim Cain and developed by Interplay Entertainment, not Bethesda, and that'll be important later on. The story is simple. After the war, some people now live within vaults, which are pretty much just bunkers, and your vault is currently running out of water because you need a new water chip. So, the vault dweller, your main protagonist, goes in search into the wasteland in order to save the vault. I was not feeling this game at all. At least when I first started. This game uses turn-based combat with a core game mechanic of special, which is strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck. This determines what your gameplay experience will be like based on your stats, which was actually a last minute change 5 months before release, because originally they were going to be using the generic Universal Role-Playing System, or GURPS for short. As the name implies, it was supposed to apply to any genre of game, but the creator Steve Jackson saw Fallout to be too dark and violent for a system. Aside from the pace of the game feeling a lot slower than I was used to, the thing that surprised me the most was the time limit, which was made to keep players focused on the main objective. I'm someone that always does the side content before the main mission, so this was an issue that I had to face head on. Despite knowing that I of course had a time limit, I also had an additional 100 days, but I still ran out of time. I mean, I guess we'll see how it ends. Just wait the days out, I guess. I mean, I can't do anything here, can I? I mean, I guess I'll just have to do a new save and try again. So I had to restart, but the second time around, after knowing how the game mechanics work and what I can expect, I enjoyed it a lot more this time. I had a lot more fun. It didn't feel as slow, but that compliment doesn't last long because the more you progress, the more enemies you have to wait for to take their turn as well, which you can speed up in the settings, but I didn't realize until after I beat the game, so I was doing it the way they intended, and wow, it was slow sometimes. This game isn't without its problems, especially with how much it crashed on me. Please open again, please open again. This game is gonna give me a headache, man. But the game is full of a lot of charm and passion from the team, and it really shows. The 3.5 years that it took to make this game really do show, and honestly, the slight addictive gameplay loop is there, so I did enjoy that part as well. For me, the side missions are the stars of this game, despite it being hard to keep track of everything you need to do within them. But the main story is pretty simple. I mean, you're just getting a water chip, and then after that, you deal with the super mutant army until the end of the game. So pretty simple to follow, nothing too crazy, so that's why I think the side missions really carry this game.
I can't take the chance.
So I have to leave. I have to leave, don't I?
I've made a lot of tough decisions
Yep.
since I took this position, but you make them harder.
I saved the entire vault and I have to leave. I mean, I was gonna do it anyway, but I didn't have a choice. It's clear to see why this game went on to sell 500,000 copies. It simply made a fun game. And overall, I'd give my experience of Fallout 1 a B tier. Only 11 months later, in 1998, Fallout 2 was released. Despite Fallout 1 not meeting Interplay's sales expectations and almost being cancelled 3 times, they saw the potential within the series and took a chance with the following that it had built up. However, this is where things start to take a bad turn. Yes, it only took 1 game for this to happen. 11 months to get out a sequel, even back then, that was not a lot of time at all. That's actually because Fallout 2 was in pre-production before Fallout 1 even released. The problem with this is that Fallout 1 was intended to be a singular game. Tim Cain was still patching Fallout 1 post-release. Fallout 2 was being handled by a new team, Black Owl Studios, which was made up of a third of the original Fallout team. But the CEO, Brian Fargo, didn't like the new team's design and wanted Tim Kaine to have a hand in the pitch. Imagine just having a good launch for a game, spent 3.5 years of your life getting that out, and now you need to make another one, which you had no intention of making. A little weird, but things moved forward. This game deals with the grandson of the original Vault Dweller from Fallout 1, which I found to be really cool that they were tied together that closely. Your job is to save your tribe from famine and drought by finding the Garden of Eden creation kit, or GEC for short. So pretty much, it's just the first story with a different coat of paint. This game does pretty much everything that you want from a sequel. You have a bigger map, more weapons and armor, more companions, and new additions like being able to use a car to get around the bigger map faster. This doesn't mean that I prefer this game though. This game is way more adult than the original. Like, there's a big emphasis on slavery and the adult industry. Like, there's a whole bunch of NPCs that you can just hook up with as well, so it was quite a difference from the first game. But one thing that didn't change and only got worse were the crashes. Like, it is the most unstable game I've ever played before. Why am I uncovering my screen like a scratch card? Like, how did this even happen?
Oh, wait. What just happened? I think my game crashed.
Okay, genuinely, I don't know what it is with this game. It's just not opening anymore. Like, there was some weird issue with the audio and I was constantly crashing. Before I had the issue of the map when I tried to go somewhere and then it would crash as well, so it's been crashing way more than Fallout 1. While I did enjoy the gameplay more, I wasn't as invested in the story this time around compared to Fallout 1, but that could be because Tim Kaine actually left during the development of the game. As I said before, this game got out within 1 year, so how do you think this man feels after also having crunched for Fallout 1 for the last year that it was in development for, to now also deal with people making decisions without him knowing, like so many cultural jokes being included within the game which he didn't like, and an unskippable tutorial for every single playthrough. Bonuses that he distributed for the team based on their job role and how much they contributed to the game being blatantly disregarded. But when I first heard what I'm about to tell you guys, I couldn't believe it. Tim highlights that he deducted one person's bonus because they didn't get their work done, and they had to bring in other people to get the work done for them, which I think is valid. Brian Fargo saw the bonuses and signed off on it, but he didn't agree with it. So what he did was he took part of Tim's bonus, which understandably would have been one of the highest, and he gave part of it to this guy. But there was also an issue because Tim had one of the lowest bonuses now, which doesn't add up, right? But because that's just part one of this story.
So we had several deadlines that we missed. I believe Fallout was originally supposed to ship in the spring of '97. We were finally given a hard and fast deadline of mid-September. We had discovered a crash bug, the worst kind of crash bug. It was completely random. Some people could play for a couple minutes and the game would crash. Other people like me, I could play for hours and never see it. So I went to Brian and I asked what happened, and he said the delay of the game from that crash bug, when it happened and when Mark and I fixed it, he asked me whose bug it was, and I didn't tell him. I was like, you know what? That's not important. We found it. We fixed it. It wasn't done intentionally. He said, no, I want to know. I demand to know. And I was like, no, I'm not going to tell him. So when the bonuses came in, he reduced mine twice. The big reason was he said, you didn't tell me whose bug it was, and you said you wanted responsibility for it, so take it. And I just looked at him and I was like, is this supposed to encourage me in any way to work on Fallout 2? Is this... He goes, yeah, encourage you to do better next time.
That is actually insane. The direction of Fallout 1 felt a lot clearer, and I really didn't like the final boss, as I felt like it relied too heavily on the skills that you had, instead of beating the boss with what you gathered. If you don't have high intelligence or speech, or you missed the optional keycard, good luck, because I got through this on sheer luck alone, and I had the keycard with me, which turned the turrets against them. If you have none of that, you may as well just quit the game because you're not beating them. Overall, Fallout 2 has better gameplay, but the constant crashes, the bugs, the messy direction, and the final section of the game, I have to rank it in C tier below Fallout 1, but it was from here that interplay really started to scramble. This next game, a lot of people might not have heard of, Fallout Tactics, released 2.5 years later in 2001. It's the first ever spin-off developed by Micro Forte and 14 Degrees East, which also, as the name implies, is a more tactical approach to the Fallout series. You control a Brotherhood of Steel squad and have to use each character to your advantage and make your way through levels dealing with enemies. I am not a tactical guy, I just run and gun, so this game was not made for me at all. At least at the start, yet again. So far, not really liking this one. Because the more I progressed, the more tactical I became. You're able to recruit many different people, and your choices within the missions actually do matter. For example, saving certain people from dying and doing optional objectives can lead to new recruits, which by the way, can just straight up die. Like, you can keep going if your main character is still alive. I found it to be really cool, and even though I got way too attached to my squad and refused to let any of them die, it was a cool concept. For a game that didn't originally have real-time combat planned and was only made this way because they needed to put together a real-time demo for E3 because the turn-based combat wasn't ready yet, I think it worked really well within this game, and I feel as though turn-based only would have slowed down the momentum. Speaking of slowing down the momentum, this game uses the same style of map as Fallout 1 and 2, however, I had to face one of the most game-breaking bugs the entire game. For some reason, the random encounters are tied to the clock speed of your PC, so I don't mean to flex on you guys, but apparently my clock speed is pretty good, because almost every second I had a random encounter pop up, and it was the most frustrating thing I had to deal with. As well as story-wise, it was kind of just, I mean it was okay. Like, it was just a whole bunch of text with a voiceover, albeit the voiceover was good.
There will be no room for mercy on this mission, brother. Kill the thieves and return the armor to the Auditor General.
But like, you're not gonna get me that engaged over some text, to be honest. I mean, by the middle part of the game, I was kind of just going off vibes and just piecing it together myself. For a game made in 18 months, it had a lot going for it and had a lot of replayability options, but the only thing that kept it going for me was the gameplay, so I'll have to give it a C tier. Almost 3 years later, in 2004, the second Fallout spin-off was released, Fallout Brotherhood of Steel, which, yes, is another Brotherhood game. This was a big turning point not only for the franchise, but also Interplay Entertainment. This game is not only Fallout's big step to being fully 3D and the first Fallout console game, but it was also the final game that Interplay ever published. This game is the real tale of the times because, what do you mean this is not only the first character that I see, but the first antagonist of the game? What? This is a pretty drastic difference from your normal Fallout game so far. Its focus is on action and a linear story, so no open map, no special, which I think is a core system of Fallout, but at this point it's kinda not a Fallout game, but I'm open to a different take on the franchise. This change is because Interplay were trying to ride their own coattails, because they were successful with Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. This is the very reason why they even took a chance with a Fallout console game. Going down the action route, the sexualized designs, they were really trying as much as they could to target a wider audience with this game, even down to the music. This is a 2000s game to its core, but I had a lot of fun with it. This was the period in gaming where there was a lot of innovation, and they definitely took a risk, and I will say, this game won't be for everyone. For me, it felt really fresh and brought something new to the table. The combat felt pretty solid, albeit pretty easy, but every character and even NPCs are voiced, so it's really easy to follow the story with cutscenes as well.
Watch them give the outfit an actual good piece of armor. The music.
Wanted to teach me a lesson. I told them to go f themselves.
Hold on, let me pick my choice of dialogue here. I'll see
You
this.
do that.
Oh, he's still alive. Okay.
So much for my big plans. I got the recipe for red
mean, you seem to be
scorpion
fine,
tail
though.
liquor right here.
I think you can stand up
Gonna
actually.
make somebody. Hold on. You gotta go to the
Dies.
warehouse.
I love this dialogue, man.
From the outset, you can tell that this game isn't taking itself too seriously, but it does tell a simple and cohesive story. You're a member of the Brotherhood looking for lost paladins, leading you to dealing with raiders, ghouls, and then super mutants being the hardest like usual. This game is broken up into 3 chapters. Chapter 1 and 2 is low-key peak. Not really, but you know, it's good enough. But chapter 3, I don't know what they were doing in that one. The level design was all over the place, the enemies just became bullet sponges, and the final boss, incredibly lackluster, like one of the worst bosses that I fought in gaming. I mean, to be fair, all of the bosses in this game are pretty bad, but I mean, this one especially was terrible. However, before I give it a rating, one thing that I really appreciate, which is kind of lost in gaming now, unless you buy deluxe editions or DLC, free bonuses and new character unlocks. Like, I really appreciate this, even though I will never play this game again, but just seeing like the art and like how it was made, it just made me miss when games just gave this to you with the base game instead of no extra charge. Now, what do I think of Interplay's final Fallout game? It's not a Fallout game, like, at all, but I commend them for trying something different, and for the most part, I did enjoy it. So, I'll give it a B tier, a low B tier, high C. It's an average game. None of the Fallout games that Interplay published after Fallout 1 was better for me. It felt like Fallout 1 knew exactly what it wanted to be and did just that. But, Interplay actually had 6 more Fallout games. They were just cancelled. So before we move on to the Bethesda arc, I want to quickly go over what could have been. In 2000, Fallout Extreme was cancelled. Judging by the name itself, it was probably for the best that it was put down. But I actually have some notes here that I want to share with you guys. So let me tell you what this game was going to be. It was going to be a squad-based game. You control each individual character. It was going to have single player and multiplayer modes. It was a game of action, tactics, and strategies. Player choices have consequences. This is just Fallout Tactics with a different name. Wait, we're not even done yet though. Guess who was gonna make the game? 14 Degrees East. So they cancelled the game to make the same game. But to add on top of this as well, in 2001, Fallout Tactics 2 was cancelled. But one cancelled game that has a ton of info on it, Fallout Van Buren, which was cancelled in 2003. This was originally not going to be the first, but the second attempt at a Fallout 3 by Black Owl Studios. It even had a conceptualized tech demo which pretty much just shows you what it would have been like. Think Fallout 1 and 2 but now in 3D. The story was gonna focus on an escaped prisoner exploring Southwest America on the run. Tim Kaine was actually brought back by the vice president of Interplay just because he needed his experience to see how long it would take to get the game completed.
And he goes, well, we're making a Fallout game and I'm going to have to cancel it. I don't think they can get it done, so I'm just going to cancel it. But if you could come over and look at it and give me an estimate, there's a chance I wouldn't. I probably played it for about 2 hours. Then the Veep came in and he basically said, I have one question for you. How long do you think it would take the team to complete this game and make it shippable? And I said, I'm convinced in 18 months you could have a really good game shipped. As we walked out, he basically explained that any answer over 6 months was going to result in him having to cancel it.
Expecting it to be done within 6 months was a pipe dream, so it was cancelled after that point. But it is considered a lost gem within the Fallout community. The final 2 games which are cancelled is Fallout Brotherhood of Steel 2, which was going to lean more into Fallout 1 and 2's gameplay, but there's also one last one here which was kind of weird because there's a lot going on in this one too. Project V13. Project V13 was actually 2 concepts. One was a strategy RPG, and the other was a Fallout MMO. And this MMO was actually pitched to Black Owl Studios, but the head of the studio said no, because he knew they did not have the funds to supply that game. They even tried with Micro Forte for the MMO, but that of course got cancelled. But this was the transitional period between Interplay and Bethesda. Fallout had been put up for auction and there were 2 bids for the IP. One was of course Bethesda, but the other was Troika Games, Tim Kaine's company. RIP. Unfortunately for Tim, he was outbid, and Bethesda now owned most of Fallout, not Project V13. Interplay was trying one last Hail Mary with this game. But Bethesda said, you know what? you have this game, but we have some stipulations for you. They were given 24 months to get it started, secure $30 million, and get the game out within 4 years. They did not do this. I don't know why they agreed to this. They were never gonna do this. They even tried to fundraise for the money as well, but went radio silent until 2012, when it was announced that Bethesda owned all of the rights to Fallout. Interplay's era is extremely messy, full of mismanagement and crunch, but behind it there was always a team willing to get something out to the fans, and even in poor conditions, they made it work. And quite frankly, it's a miracle this franchise has gotten as big as it is today, but that is mainly due to our next era for this franchise, the Bethesda era. In 2004, Bethesda started development on Fallout 3, with the aim to keep the concept as faithful to Fallout 1 and 2 as much as possible. 4 years later, the game releases to overwhelming success, the likes of which the franchise had never seen before. This was actually the first Fallout game that I ever played, and I loved it when I was a kid. But with all of my knowledge and experience of the game now, it felt like a completely new experience, especially with how far this series has come graphically. Straight away you can tell that they really wanted to establish the world that you're in. Up until this point you never got to experience what it was like to live within the vault before you leave for the wasteland. So it really builds up your character to the point where your dad leaves the vault, which seemed like a safe haven until your life is flipped upside down due to him leaving. From the moment that you leave the vault to find your dad, it really feels like Bethesda took the map from Fallout 1 and 2 and brought it to life within this 3D world. It's amazing that they pulled this off because it's a familiar yet new experience.
Like the jump from Fallout 1 to Fallout Brotherhood of Steel to Fallout 3 is actually like huge. Especially Fallout 3, like Bethesda went crazy on this game. It really is just taking Fallout 1 and just bringing it to life. Like Fallout 1 had the whole concept of going to towns and having a wasteland, but the wasteland was just a map that you'd go from place to place. But now, like, I mean, you're still doing the same thing. You're going from place to place in a wasteland. It's just that now you can actually explore it yourself and go there yourself in third person or first person, which is what they actually wanted to do for a long time but never actually got the capabilities to do so, or had the time to do so, should I say.
The settlements feel really lived in, and the designs and explanations as for why they are the way they are makes sense. On your way from one place to another, you may have random encounters, you may run into people that will hire to kill you, and along your journey you'll find a whole bunch of smaller locations. Throughout the game it starts to add more layers to the story, with the Brotherhood assisting you, and the Enclave having their own agenda. Bethesda even went as far as bringing back the Gek and the FAV virus, which was present in Fallout 1 and 2. A great callback. The use of the special system along with that, and the huge amount of perks that you can unlock the more you level up, all worked really well. You can spend hundreds of hours within this game, and near the end, I felt like I had barely scratched the surface with all that you can do and find within this world. Like, I was that hooked. The amount of guns and apparel is even more than your usual Fallout game, and you can interact with pretty much anything within this game too. This is what taking that next big step should feel like. And for me, Bethesda nailed it. Throughout this whole experience, it really felt like I was the lone wanderer, which is what they call your main character. Someone simply getting by in the wasteland. I was never super rich. I didn't have a companion for almost the entirety of the game. I never felt super overpowered and could often be overwhelmed or not want to deal with like crazy enemies. The finale portion of this game feels incredibly climactic, and the ending that I chose felt very fitting as a way to wrap it all up. Is it the perfect Fallout game? No. A lot of the dialogue feels robotic and unnatural.
I'll be damned. You did it, didn't you? You disarmed that thing.
And I feel as though this game doesn't really explain things as well as Fallout 1 did, like in terms of the factions. Like super mutants and raiders, for example, they exist in the game, but they don't really have a meaning as to why they are even in the area, as like Fallout 1 would explain that type of thing. Maybe they explore it more in different side quests, but for what I experienced, I didn't really get much of that. Still though, an incredible game, the most stable game as well, and for how they managed to pull off bringing Fallout 1 and 2 to life within this game, I think is incredible. So, with all that being said, we will have our first S-tier game. This next Fallout game I was really excited for because I had never played it. In 2010, Fallout New Vegas was released, and you cannot have a conversation about Fallout without someone saying this is the best Fallout game ever released. The development of this game started in 2008 and isn't made by Bethesda, but instead Obsidian Entertainment, which was actually founded by 5 people from Black Owl Studios, creators of Fallout 2 and the cancelled Van Buren. It's really come full circle here because while they aren't working on Fallout 3, it is considered to be Fallout 3.5. Now when you get people that had passion and a vision for a Fallout 3, and it got cancelled, you best believe they're putting everything into this next game that they make. This for me is easily the best Fallout intro hook and immediately sets up the story. You play as the courier who is delivering a package until you're intercepted by this man and shot in the head, except you get rescued, with your aim being to find this man and find out the truth of the delivery you held. This game feels as though it took everything from Fallout 3 and just made it better. You can now aim down sight, there's weapon mods due to a popular Fallout 3 mod, different ammo types, cooking, but the biggest change was having a reputation system. Your actions within a quest that you're doing for a faction can make them like you more, or if you're dealing with more than one faction within a quest, one will either like you more and another one will dislike you more depending on what you do. And that also extends to just simply shooting the members as well. But on the topic of quests, the side quests in this game are really good. Very early on, I was struggling in deciding which faction I wanted to side with, as it affected this entire town, but there wasn't a right or wrong choice, it was just which one do you prefer. Decisions like those carry on through the entire game, and I love that. You'll have side quests from companions. In my case it was dealing with the Brotherhood of Steel and how they're actually struggling here compared to Fallout 3. But once you reach New Vegas, the core of this wasteland, wow. It's your typical structure of people with money are in the big city while the less fortunate are on the outside, which is a structure that I really love to explore, and you can really explore every single faction within this place as well. One of these side quests is my favourite in any Fallout game so far, dealing with potential cannibals, and having to use the disguise mechanic in the game, which gets you into places you shouldn't be in. This felt like it was straight out of the Hitman game, and I wanted to do every single side quest given to me. You have so much freedom to really dictate how you get through a lot of them, a lot more than Fallout 3 offered due to the points that you allocate into skills and perks. Through discovering what it really was that you were delivering, why Benny chose to shoot you, and discovering who's really in charge of the wasteland and who wants to take over, the different ideologies of all the people you come across within the wasteland made it feel as though my own character was going through their own character arc as well, and I didn't feel that from any other game so far. Without getting into deep spoilers, this game offers multiple endings, and I chose to be the wild card. With the freedom that I had, it felt like it was the most fitting thing for the arc that my character went through. Someone that was done wrong at the start of the game, someone willing to help those in need, but deep down, someone in it for their own agenda, not wanting to be screwed over again. Another victim of the wasteland that was willing to betray and cut ties when it was necessary in order to reach their own goals. The fact that I could go down this route and not be your standard hero really goes to show the freedom that the game gives you and how much time they put into the 18 months that they had to make this game. Unfortunately, it isn't all positive. The game has some serious performance issues sometimes. I experienced quite a few bugs to the point that I had to use the command console in the game to fix it. And there were a lot of times this game would just crash, which I think is really tragic because if these issues weren't there, I think it is the closest thing to the perfect Fallout game. But I had an amazing time with this game, the most fun I've had in any Fallout game so far. I will give it an S tier of course though, because the positives heavily outshine the downsides. It's been 4 years and 7 months, almost the longest time it's taken for the next Fallout game to come out. What has Bethesda been cooking? A mobile game. Fallout Shelter. To be fair to them though, they did release it on the same day it was announced and also talked about Fallout 4 after. Developed as a partnership between Bethesda and Behavior Interactive, very random crossover here. It is the first Fallout mobile game and it is also free to play. When I first heard free to play mobile game, alarms were going off. This game must be drowning in microtransaction hell, but to my surprise, it's actually really consumer friendly. You take the role of a vault overseer simulating the life of a vault. You can add new rooms, increase the amount of people living inside, which is useful for increasing the efficiency of rooms through their special stats. You can get more dwellers through relationships, radio, or even on quests, which you can send vault dwellers on, which is the most effective way of gathering resources or more caps to make more rooms or upgrade them. While everything in this game does take a lot of time, that is the mobile aspect of it, it's not that bad, that's as bad as it gets. There is a premium currency in the game, but that is just to speed up time, so that's not bad at all. You can get more of these from time to time on quests, or through lunchboxes, which is basically a loot box you can get through objectives that will sometimes have it as a reward, or as a reward for a quest, but this really feels like more of a bonus than anything like hindering your way. It's a very casual game. I found it boring and slow at the start, but the more you progress and the more people you get, then the more enjoyable it becomes. This game is still being supported, which surprised me, and even had a little tie-in for the show with New Vegas style additions. You have to start a separate experimental vault in order to actually get through the required challenges for the season pass rewards, which I wasn't too sure about because I don't really care for this vault, but I mean, I'm pretty sure their goal was to make you do more within the game, which it did do. So it took me about 2 to 3 hours every day within a week to get everything done, like the season pass, maxing out my original vault. All of that was done within like a week, so it wasn't that bad at all. It's definitely a game more suited to playing on the side on mobile instead of a different platform. And I think my main gripe, well, not even main gripe, it's my only gripe about this game is that you can't replace the rooms. So if you want to replace the room, you need to destroy the whole like layer, I guess. That's pretty much the only thing. You can't easily change the layout. So it's not really a big issue at all, it's just something I wish you could do. There's also a Fallout Shelter online, which was only released in Asia, and I'm gonna be real, doesn't need to exist, don't know why it's a thing. I'd honestly recommend it if you're into chill games, but honestly, I can't give it anything higher than a B. On the 10th of November 2015, Fallout 4 was released. This game is a pretty big deal for a few reasons. Planning began right after Fallout 3, and Todd Howard wanted to do something different. He wanted to explore life before the bombs dropped, and from the moment I started, this game just felt different. Not only because they're now using the creation engine instead of the game brewer engine like the past 2 entries, so visually it looked a lot better, but this is the first Fallout game with a voiced protagonist.
War never changes.
You're gonna knock him dead at the Veterans Hall tonight, hon.
You think?
Wait, are they a voiced character in this game?
Another fine product of General Atomics International.
A voiced character? Oh my god.
I'm not opposed to having a silent protagonist, but while I was playing the older games, it was just something that I hope they'll try at least once, because I'm someone that feels more invested when I can actually hear my character talk back, but we'll dive into that more later on. We had never seen what life was like before the bombs dropped, so it felt fresh, and that's one thing that I love about Fallout games. No intro ever feels the same. The story revolves around you and your family being cryogenically frozen in a vault, and sometime later, your partner is killed and your son is taken away from you. 10 years later, you're unfrozen and you set out to find your son and the people that took him. Now is where the game really starts, so let's dive into it. The start of this is of course introducing you to the world and how it operates now compared to your old life, but one thing I wasn't expecting was to be given power armor so early. Usually this is like the holy grail of armor in Fallout games, like you get it at the end, so to be given it at the start was very odd, like I wasn't used to it at all. But also, it's an actual suit within this game as well, you can't just carry it within your inventory, which I actually like, it was kind of cool. It kind of felt like putting on an Iron Man suit. While that was a big change, an even bigger change is building. You can build within this game. I first played this game almost 10 years ago, which is crazy to even say, but I remember 2 things, and only 2 things, in my current playthrough. 1 was building, and 2 was what comes after building, with settlements. I remembered enjoying building a lot back then, but right now, I have a lot of thoughts. I think conceptually, it's great. They finally gave junk a big usage and you can build your own settlement. People can join this settlement and you can assign jobs to them, which is great. However, the building itself is so janky. Some things won't even snap into place properly, or they can't be placed where it should make sense to go. There's a real lack of interior decoration, like I can't make basic hallways or even walls with windows. It's ambitious for sure, but it felt like it was the bare minimum, and it didn't all work together properly. The way you can get more building recipes is to find magazines just randomly out in the world somewhere, which made no sense to me. Like, I wish that you didn't have to find new things to make through magazines, because like, let's say that I really want to get into like building and do a lot of building in this game. I don't have everything that's given to me straight away, and I have to find magazines to get some new things to build. But how do I know where the magazines are? They're just kind of all over the world, at least that's what it seems like so far. So I can't fully get into building as much as I would like to. It just felt really flawed, and it could have been a lot better. Now on to the other thing that I remembered about this game. The settlements need my help. So you can be given a quest to go to this place and finish the quest, you get a settlement, you can build there, do whatever you want. But what I want to know is, why would I want 5 different settlements that I can't look after and have to do these constant missions for, when I can't even look after one place with the amount of junk that I need to make it an actual nice place? You're able to build defenses in this game, by the way. Why am I doing this if you need my help anyway? But I've ranted about settlements for long enough now. I do want to praise this game. For me, this game easily has the best gunplay and moment-to-moment gameplay. This game captures more than any other Fallout game that war never changes. Because this is the most chaotic Fallout game. Not only is the weather a lot more dynamic in this game, I love the radioactive rain and the green hue it gives everything, because it really made it feel like it was the end of the world whenever you were in it. But also, it never felt like there was a dull moment in this game when it came to enemies, because so many things would just blow up or you'd hear a ton of shooting going on far away. It was a lot of fun, and it was especially fun once I got my hands on a Tesla cannon. This is easily my favorite weapon in any Fallout game. It was so much fun and so chaotic. The way you acquire it is through a side quest, and for me, side quests in this game took a real backseat. Even once you get more into the story and find out there's this group called the Institute, which is like the boogeyman of the Commonwealth. They're kidnapping people and replacing people with robots you can't distinguish from whether they're real or not, which leads you down the road of figuring out that they were the one that took your son. It's not a new concept, but it's one that you can play around with, which Bethesda just didn't really dive into, like, at all. I mean, aside from sometimes you'll have a random encounter, well, not random, but you know, stumble across it, and it'll be like a bit of dialogue, should you kill them or not? Yes, no, then we're done. Like, they don't really go deep into the whole body stealing thing. It felt like a missed opportunity because there are so many side quests in this game that don't build up a narrative at all. In Diamond City, I got given I think 10 side quests, I can't lie. I don't know why these ones don't particularly interest me. I think there's just not enough narrative build up for them. And they were given back to back to back to back, whereas New Vegas would space them out. I think I prefer that way of getting side missions because I can actually digest them a lot easier and actually feel more invested as well. It's just go from point A to point B, you're done. Yeah, one thing that I do think is a common mistake that a lot of open world games make is that they will pad for time just for padding for time, instead of focusing on making a good quest. Some quests do need to be long. I think they do add to the value of the quest. But I feel like a lot of the time, some quests can just be short, and they can be nice, short and sweet, and they can actually be a better experience that way. I think that's one thing that this game struggles on a lot.
Find I must reward your considerable efforts with a final labor. We stand but a hair's breadth away from embarking on our sacred mission. The ship requires turbo pump bearings from a nearby factory.
Oh my god. This is the type of thing that I mean. Did it really have to be a need to get every single part here? Not really. And where is this factory? Come on, man. All the way over here. You said nearby. The final thing I want to bring up is my thoughts on the story. And, I think it's decent. So, I did say we'll talk about voiced versus unvoiced protagonists, and It was very clear to see that having a voice protagonist really limited the dialogue choices, especially when you compare dialogue options from Fallout New Vegas to this game. It is extremely limited. While I did enjoy the voice protagonist, it did really hinder the choice that you can have within this game, especially within the first half. It felt like nothing you said really mattered, but that is until you infiltrate the Institute. From that point on, it felt like the game found its footing more and I got really invested in it. It has you actually making decisions between these three different factions. I won't go into it too deeply, but I did really enjoy the plot twist in this game, but I felt as though they could have done a better job making you want to work with the Institute. Once again, they could have done a lot better with the setup and the moral decisions. The game paints them out to be evil in the first half of the game, so why not have like a trusted character turn out to be working with the Institute or being a synth, like a copy of someone? Do I kill them? Do I not? Like that type of choice that I could actually have. You don't get anything like that, but it's something that I really wish that they did. Even the ending, which I actually went back and got another one because I was really curious what the other ending was, it's pretty much just the same thing, but one scene is a little different, which I found to be really disappointing because normally what they did is show you how your choices affected the world, but that isn't the case in Fallout 4. This game had a massive amount of potential with what it tried to achieve. Some parts were great, some parts were good, and some parts were just undercooked. This is the most S-tier potential Fallout game that you could play, and with everything being said, I'll give it an A tier because I did really enjoy the game still, but it could have been so much more. And for some reason, this game is like plagued with only getting worse in quality the more they try to do with it. Like the VR edition and Anniversary edition both just launched broken, so I think they should just leave Fallout 4 to just rest at this point. Most people were expecting Fallout 76. Wrong. Fallout Pinball. Developed by Zen Studios. That's pretty much all the background info you can get on this game, to be honest. And that it launched around Christmas time. That's basically it. Let me tell you, the world was shook when this game dropped. Okay, I'm gonna be real. I don't know why this game exists. Like, it tried to implement special into it and factions with missions. It's just pinball. Like, there was nothing special about this game. It is just pinball. It is D tier. We're now at the final Fallout game, Fallout 76, which is kinda crazy to say this was the last new entry because this game came out 7 years ago. But with this game, wow, there is a lot to talk about. Most of it being negative. This is the first ever online Fallout game, and they really knocked it out of the park with how bad of a launch this was. One of the worst video game launches to date, full of countless bugs, which at this point isn't a surprise, but it was even worse this time around because they actually had to put out a statement that it was going to be buggy. You know it's bad when people already know that your games are buggy, but you need to put out a statement to say, hey, the game is going to be buggy at launch. That's a very, very bad sign. The game launched with no human NPCs to try and make the players the NPCs. It was boring, overpriced microtransactions, game-breaking exploits, but hey, like Todd Howard said, it was never supposed to launch finished. It's an ever-evolving game. One of the worst excuses that you could make because even outside of the game, things still weren't going right. The infamous Deluxe Edition Canvas Bag pre-order, where the bag wasn't even made of canvas, and power armor helmets having mold in them. Like, how do you mess up this badly? But if you peel back the curtain, you'll see that it was actually never going to have a good launch. The creation engine is not built for multiplayer. There was a lack of leadership, and whenever there was leadership, there was Todd making decisions like no human NPCs, which, by the way, the studio just didn't agree with, but they did it anyway because, of course, it was his direction. Seeming resentment towards the devs working on the game during heavy crunch, and also testers being peer pressured into overtime. Allegedly, I guess. It's a whole mess, but I'm hoping that 7 years later, this game can really give me something that I can actually enjoy. And safe to say, it's actually pretty good. Originally an idea attached to Fallout 4, Fallout 76 has got all of your standard Fallout mechanics like special, perks, except here they come in card packs, a silent protagonist once again, so more dialogue choices, even VATS is in this game which is made to be auto-aim. When I first started this game, I wasn't sure if it was going to be beginner friendly because it's been out for so long, but thankfully they give you like a little booster kit, you get to level 20 and you get some weapons and armor as well. Now once you get started within this game, visually this might be my favorite Fallout game. The lighting is great, how much vegetation there is in the game, and all the different biomes it offers you to explore. It makes it feel so much more unique when you're exploring something with the added chance to find enemies that you've never encountered before. It has some pretty cool things for you to discover. While I do enjoy single player games more, the moment you run across someone in this game is like, whoa, that's an actual person within this game. And also, everyone in this game is like incredibly nice. People in this game are actually really willing to help you. You can of course form parties, but there's events as well which multiple people can join to get completed for rewards. It definitely pulls off the online aspect of the game pretty well. However, I think the thing that surprised me the most was that they really lent into the survival element of Fallout. I would love for this to be an option in Fallout games because it gives food and water and cooking and actual usage as opposed to just healing with stim packs all the time. But just when I couldn't be pleased enough, they saw that janky building in Fallout 4 and threw it out the window. That was gone. They actually gave a good building mechanic. I couldn't believe it. There's so much variety which is made clear through other people's builds and whether they placed it down there themselves or they submitted it for people to check out around the world. There's a whole lot to enjoy about this game, but of course there is a big drawback. With it being online, there is of course microtransactions. There is a monthly subscription which I can't get behind at all, but you do get challenges that will give you a bit of the premium currency that you can just build up over time, but either way I can't get behind microtransactions. I think the worst thing about it though is that a lot of the building options are locked behind paying, and even unlimited storage is also a paywall. The quests are okay, I guess. I mean, I feel like there's only so much you can do within an online game and not having a linear story, so they're not memorable, they're okay, you just get them done and then that's pretty much it, you move on. I honestly think that if this game came out today as a single player game with a linear story, it could be top 2 for a lot of people. But we are judging how it is now, and especially after the mess that it once launched at to where it is now, and it also does a lot of things better than Fallout 4, I will give it an A tier, with of course the downside being the online elements. And there you have it, every single Fallout game finished and ranked. And it's actually crazy from what it first started like to what it is now. That is a huge journey that it's been on. It had its ups and downs, but behind it, there was always a passionate team just aiming to make a fun game. But for right now, Fallout New Vegas is my favorite. Shock, I know. But if you've played any of these games, let me know what your favorite game is. Let me know what your change on my tier list. And yeah, thanks for watching and thank you for all the support. And bye.
My story.